Okay, I will record start from here. Okay, so I will talk about the gap in research, and then the research gap in general, and academic writing and the research gap, and also the tips and the challenges. Okay, but I think some of you already have the experience writing the SCI journals, like Yoshiki, you have one with me, like Sir Artving, you have one with me, and then Anthony Belo, hopefully we can submit your paper very soon. Okay, so basically that some of you have the experience already. So let me just go back again to very basic, so all of you have the same skills. Okay. Okay. So everything. Let's start with the gap in research first. So let's talk about the research publication in the Philippines. I know like 3 students are from Thailand, and so let's see how it goes. So this is actually the total number of publications in the Scopus. Okay, I think all of you know what is Scopus. It's the database of the publication. Okay, that and the QS or times higher. I forget. Either either these two. They utilize Scopus to really check the number of the publication, number of the cited papers. As the percentage of the review, of the percentage of the score. And well, this is the total publications in Mapua. If you break down the UP, then it's actually the LaSalle is actually have the highest one. But if you combine the UP, University of the Philippines, okay, the three of these, of course, it will be number one, and Mapua is always number three in terms of the number of the publication. But compare to last year, it's actually lower. I know why. Because most faculties, they try to refrain themselves to submit the papers to the conference papers, because the school only provide the registration fee if you submit it during this COVID-19 pandemic. Okay, they only pay the registration fee without the FSA, without the flight ticket, and so on. So they will try to refrain themselves, and then after the COVID-19 pandemic is over, then they will submit all of the papers. Okay, so basically that I know that some faculties actually like I think most faculties actually still refraining their papers. Okay, but yeah, this is actually the one that I got from the yesterday. It's actually November 26th, yesterday or 2 days ago. Yeah, 2 days ago. Yeah, everything is actually it's getting better and better. However, okay, if you compare with the neighbor, okay, with Thailand, with Universitas Indonesia, I graduated from here, or like University of Malaya, Nanyang Technological University, or even NUS. Okay, it's still far, very very far. If you total all the publications in the Philippines, it still cannot reach one institution in the another institution in the Southeast Asia. So basically, that's a big homework for the Philippines. But I know that Mapua, starting from the 2017, is actually, I mean, there is um, a big commitment starting from 2017. And I think starting from that we try to build more and more confidence in the research. Okay. So the good thing that we start I could see the very big transformation between before 2017 and up until now. And I think we can gradually go to the better direction. Okay. Okay. So let's help Mapua to help, more extra publications in here. Okay. And especially the school has a big commitment, especially in the financial support for the publication. And then here, let me talk about the journals. Okay. Let me talk about the publications. Okay. Wait. Okay. Let me talk about the publications in here. Where I can just put it like here, and I will like make it like, okay. So there are 4 levels of the publication. Okay. The lowest one is actually just the national conference. Okay. Usually like the PIIE, like Philippines Institute of Industrial Engineering, or like last year when I went to Iloilo, I attended the Philippines Association of Engineering School. I think PAES, Philippine Association of Engineering School. Yeah, PAES, yeah. In Iloilo, So if you present the paper there, it will be just the lowest level. It's actually just the national conference, okay? Then if you want to go to the second level, the higher level, that is actually the international conference. And then there is, okay, there are two types, like the one that listed in Scopus or not. Okay, but in here, the school, Mapua University, will help you, will support you, especially the registration fee for the international conference that listed in the Scopus. Okay, so this is the second level. And most of the faculties in our school, School of IEEMG, are in this level. Okay, only 3 faculties up to this level. It's actually me, Dr. Yang, and then Dean Rex. Okay, and the next one, it's actually the even higher level. That's what we call non-SCI journal. It's still Scopus Index, but it's the low to the medium level of the journal. Okay, so if you check some faculties published in the journal, like a Journal of Technology, like I published last year, no, this year I think, like Malaysian Journal of Public Health is actually from the best, some of the best presented papers, and then it goes to the got the bonus like it's not the conference proceeding, but actually it goes to the this one, to the non-SCI journal. Okay, so that is the third level, and of course the highest one is actually the SCI journal. Okay, so that is actually our goal. Our goal in this PhD program. So you can have the sense of, I would say that top universities worldwide, different students from top industrial engineering school, which school like Georgia Institute of Technology, or like the for ergonomics, it's going to be the Virginia Tech. They are in this level, okay, in the SCI journal level. So if we can publish the journals in this level, then yeah, we are actually basically that we are the same, especially the level. Okay. So if you ask, sir, how to know whether the journal is SCI or the journal is non-SCI? Okay. So you can check here, journal citation reports. I will demonstrate to you after after finishing the presentation. I will demonstrate to you how to check the paper whether it's listed in the SCI or not. And then you can check in the Google. They have I don't know, someone already uploaded it. Every year they have they always renew the list of the journal every July. I think every the middle of July, because they will update the impact factor, the level of the SCI journals. Okay, even its SCI journal, you can split it into 4 levels: Q1, Q2, Q3, and then Q4. Okay, but Q4 SCI journal is still SCI journal. It's still reputable journals. Okay, and then the requirement, one of the requirements for the PhDIE is actually this level. You have 2, but of course, I would like all of you to challenge yourself, or to go to this level. Because a few months ago, I published one with undergraduate students. So if undergraduate students can go to this one, of course, all of you are required, to go to this level. Okay, but don't worry, I'll try my best to facilitate all of you to go to the SCI journals. Okay. Okay. So far up to here. So far so good. So far so good.
Good.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay. So let me go
Yes,
to the
sir.
next one. Okay. So this is the process that you will enjoy. This is like, the flow. Okay, when you submit your manuscript to the SCI journal, this is what will happen. Okay, so this is the okay. After that, you go to this one, right? You submit the paper, and then the paper goes to the editor of the journal. Then the editor will decide, okay, whether the paper is actually, whether he likes it or whether he dislikes it. Okay, if he dislike it, usually your paper will be rejected within less than 1 week. So how to do that? Then if it gets rejected with from one journal, then just submit to another journal. Perhaps just the editor dislike it. I had several. It's not several. I would say I have I have so many experiences, being rejected by the editor, but they did not say anything. They just say like the scope, or like I know they just dislike it, so they just they just reject it. But it doesn't mean your paper is bad, So I would say just come down and then like just submit to another journal. Okay, so that is actually usually it takes 1 week only. Okay, so it takes 1 week for this one, but if the editor likes it, the editor will invite at least 2 reviewers or up to 3 reviewers. But if you're lucky enough, you have 1 reviewer only. But one doesn't mean it's easy, you know. When I become the reviewer, when I become the SCI journal reviewer, I become so details. And last time, you know, I review, no, I think last week, I reviewed one SCI paper written by very famous public health professor in the United States. And the reviewer is actually just me. So, but my comments like 4 pages. So 4 pages is like so details, you know, not harsh, but very details, you know, that you don't need to be very harsh in order to criticize that. But if you criticize in a very detailed way, that's going to be very, you know. And then usually it takes 2 weeks to 1 month until the paper status from with editor change to the under review. Usually it takes 2 weeks to 1 month, I think, because it takes time for the reviewers to agree with your papers, because they will, whether they will, whether they are busy, whether they are, you know, because the paper needs to be reviewed by the blind reviewers. Okay. Then after 1 month, you know, usually from with editor to I would say that under review. Then from under review to the first decision, you know, usually it takes less than 3 months. Okay. Usually after that, you know, after the reviewer send to the comments to the editor, and then the editor will decide whether he or she will reject your paper or he or she will choose the major revisions. It's very rare for the first submission, then you got the minor revision. I think it's very rare. Sometimes, you know, actually I got minor revisions, but the editor is actually put it like a major revisions. I don't know why, but after that the paper got accepted. You know, I have how you say that experience that the reviewer is my best friend. I was like, my best friend called me. I'm like, hey, I review your paper. You know, I'm like, wow. It's just a small world. Okay, basically that my best friend, well, somewhere I'm not going to tell you who. Okay, my best friend actually called me like, hey, I'm your reviewer. Okay, so be nice to me. I'm like, it's a joke, but oh, I mentioned the gender. Okay, he gave a very, I would say, objective comments. Okay, although we are friends, but his reputation is actually if he you know say like, oh, this paper too good, blah 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 blah, I just accept, blah blah blah, and so on. If the other reviewer is actually contradictory with his comments, you know, he might be in trouble, or like he might be in you know, not trusted again or not invited again as the reviewer. Okay, so but the funny thing is like we kind of like negotiate before he submitted the you know, that one. He sent in the comments to me like, hey, can you answer my questions? I think around 2 pages, 2.5 pages. But when I slowly check, I'm like, yeah, it makes sense. I can do it. You know, I can do it. So yeah, but the paper already published, already accepted. So and then okay, and then the editor will decide whether he or she will reject it, or he or she will give the major revision to you and return it to you. And then you have around 2 months or 3 months, you know, to revise it. Or if you can do it faster, it's actually okay to submit it back. Then the paper will be sent to the same reviewers, okay? And then if the reviewers feel okay, then the editor will give the, you know, accept decision. But if it's not okay, usually it's rare, it's reject. Usually it will be returned to you again to revise it again. So up to this stage, you know, usually the chance of getting acceptance is actually high. But if the paper, I got another story, okay? The paper was rejected, you know, after the comments, you know. So I was not depressed. I would say that how come they reject that one? I think I already followed that one. So, but the editor told me again to what? The editor told me again to resubmit the paper. So at the beginning of this one, you know, but they will send to the same reviewers too. Do you know why? Because the journal wants it to be more commercialized. They want it to show how many papers they reject every year, how many papers they accept, you know. So adding that one make me my paper, you know, like in on the rejection list, you know. So they will make themselves like, oh, you know, the percentage of being accepted in here is actually very low. You know, some people, some the editors play, you know, play that how you say that, play that kind of strategy to really make the journals more attractive. Okay, to get the low, you know, acceptance rates and so on. Okay, but of course, Dr. Yang and I, you know, we have we eat so much pain, so we feel like it's you know it's something very common already, you know, so we don't feel very, you know, I would say that disappointed or like very, you know, inferior and so on. So don't worry, okay, all of you will experience all of this one, and it's common. And some of you perhaps so lucky, two of your papers like, oh, I have no face rejection, but you know, and then you get the two acceptance, then you can go for the final oral defense, you know. But some of you perhaps that you know, got rejected and have to return again and so on. Okay, so in this PhD program, I would say that don't compare your story with your friends, so just create your own story. Okay. Okay, so there's, you know, in here the simplest one is just like find a journal, prepare your paper, submit and revise, track your paper and share. But it's actually you know, the flow is actually like this one on the, you know, this right side. Okay, this is the JCR, Journal Citation Reports. Okay, so if you search the name of the journal in here, if it is listed in here, then it is an SCI journal. If it is not listed in here, then it is not an SCI journal. Okay, some faculties in Mapua say like, oh, we publish so many journals, but when I check all of those journals, actually not SCI. So it's the third level. If you want to go to the highest level, the fourth level, you know, so it should be listed in here. Okay, so let's go with the research gap. Okay. Of course, everybody knows what is research gap. Okay, but the knowledge about research gap and doing, you know, research gap is actually two different, you know, stories. Okay, wait, let me drink for a while. And you know, all types of research, you know, always, you know, begin with a research gap. If you don't do research gap, then it's not, I believe that it will not be a good research. You know, it will be just a company study. So uh, there is a program called Master of Engineering in Industrial Engineering, you know, MEPIE in Mapua, and most of them, they don't do proper research gap. But the study is very real, I would say. So that is, I would say, a company study. Okay, with if you don't have the research gap, you know, then I would say it's just a company study. So in here you can see what is missing or what is not addressed. Okay, and then after that it will enhance the importance why the paper, you know, needs to be accepted or why the paper is actually quite new in your field. And why is it important to identify the research gap? Of course, you have to you know, get a deep understanding of a certain topic. Okay, for example, if you want to do something with what disaster management, okay, disaster, what disaster, disaster is too big. For example, if you want to do with what earthquake, you know, earthquake, the effect of the earthquake to the perceived severity, something like that. It's a macro ergonomics type of study. Then you have to get knowledge on that topic. Okay, or you want to do what safety culture, then you have to read the paper about the safety culture. Okay, about the, you know, the papers that has been done about the safety culture in a different fields, because safety culture is the, well, is the safety culture, you can apply it in so many companies or different fields. Okay, then you will know what is unique in your research, because when you gain a deep knowledge of a certain topic, then you will have you know, you know the uniqueness of your study, then you can create the original research. Okay, last year oh no, actually last month or this month, this is November, yeah, no, this is November, my paper actually listed in the disaster risk reduction. It's actually about the vulnerability, but actually I started that paper last year. Okay, I was recruited in a project in a Marinduque. It's a small island in the Philippines, okay, in the middle of the Philippines. And then, yeah, I didn't know anything about vulnerability. And then, but, you know, Dean Rex wanted me to join the program because he wanted to abuse me to publish papers. And, okay. And for me, well, it's fine. I like traveling. I've never been to those islands, and glad that through that project I've been to Marinduque for more than 5 times already, 6 times, or I think, yeah, 6 times I think. And then I circle around the island. And then but every time when you want to start something new, you have to understand about that topic. But that time I didn't understand anything about what is vulnerability. Okay, so what I did was like I again, go back again to the basic way how to do it. Just do the deep knowledge of the topic. I think I still can show you the proof. Look at this one. This is the printed papers. Okay. So basically, like I read around 100 papers about vulnerability, around 100. But it's not like every page I read like that. No, when you get the skill, you can, you know what you want to find in the paper, and you will mark it yellow, and then read and read again, and you realize that actually something is missing there. So that's why, like, although I'm not a new person in the vulnerability, but I think, although I'm a new person in the vulnerability field, okay, but I think the research is actually unique. Okay, I will explain in details after this one. Then you can do you will know what is the correct method, for that field. Okay, because nowadays, when you don't read, some people have a kind of sense of a weird sense. For example, like you have to do Slofin's formula to set the minimum number of samples. In fact, that nobody has done that in the top publications. Or like some kind of like what. Yeah, many things that I feel like it's not common in the top level, but it's common in the low type of level. And then and the final one, you can publish your paper in a SCI journal if it is correct, unique, and then can have a big impact or a big contribution. So that's why I have to break down all of your knowledge about what is research, to the same level. Okay, forget what you have learned in the bachelor or in the master degree. Okay, because this time it's actually in a different level. Okay, and only people who already passed that one know what it means in a different level. So I have to share this one to all of you first. And this is many problems, with masters and the PhD degree students. Okay, the first one is actually they simply start with the research aim without the research gap. Okay, oh, I want to do this, but what is the research gap? I mean, you sure that is new? I mean, or you have to have a sense of the judgment. But of course, if you listen to your advisor, for example, me and Dr. Young, we already develop certain skills of the in our own field, so we can simply state the research aim without the research gap. Because of what? Because the research gap is actually ourselves. We we know we already expand the knowledge up to here, and we know how to go to the next level. Okay, then I hope that all of you also will have the sense of the level after you complete your PhD program. Then you will say like, oh, I want to do this because the research gap is actually my own study. Okay, and they simply think about the PhD have to make a tangible product, but in fact it's not really. You can do something with the mathematical modeling, you can do the analysis, you can do the design thinking. It's not always with showing the tangible products. Okay, but perhaps for some people in the Philippines, they always like, oh, then what's the product? Oh, the product is mathematical equation itself, or the product is actually the theoretical foundations that are built based on that equation. That is already a very big contribution. Okay, so break it, scratch it from zero. What you need to do in this PhD program. And don't copy paste. I would say don't copy somebody's thesis, don't copy somebody's dissertation format, because my format's gonna be different. So you know what, my PhD dissertation is only 30 pages, so thin. So my format is gonna be very simple, very small, very straightforward, to the point. And then wait, 30 pages is the main one, but if you add with reference, with appendix and so on, it's gonna be around 50 pages, 50 something pages. But the main research from the abstract up to the conclusion. It's only 30 pages, my PhD dissertation. Okay, so my format will be very different with with what you've learned in some some other universities. Okay, I'm not impressed with a thick thesis. So if your thesis can be thin and straightforward, then that's gonna be powerful. And don't feel demotivated. Okay, usually when you do the research gap, you feel some kind of like demotivated. I feel like even for me at this stage too, somehow I also feel demotivated, like, oh, somebody has done up to this far, then you try to expand the knowledge, to expand the the science. I think Sir Arfing is here. He knows how it feels with the safety culture. Yeah, right, Sir Arfing. You found so many studies with the I would say that you found so many with safety culture in the power plant, right?
Yes, Doc.
Yeah.
Very
So
difficult.
yeah, I know.
And the data here in the Philippines are very hard to get. It's very hard to get data.
Not just the data collection, but actually try to create new model is quite difficult.
Yes, Doc. I
Yeah,
know.
yeah,
I feel
yeah,
it.
yeah, I feel it, right? I mean, yeah, I mean, let me
Yeah.
share to everyone in here. Okay,
Yes, sir,
Sir
Doc.
Art.
No problem.
Okay, so Sir Artfing is actually we submitted one paper last week, okay, of his study to SCI journal. It got rejected by the editor, okay, because, well, uh, we submitted to the very top of the top journal. It's actually Safety Science. Okay, so but the editor is so strict. I don't know. He always rejected my paper, but when I submitted to another journal, my paper got accepted. So and we submit to another journal. Submit to another journal, but now I realized that why Safety Science rejected his paper. I was like, my God, so many paper with the safety culture in the power plant. And I'm like, quite nervous, or like quite some kind of like nervousness. But let's try our luck. Let's try our best. I think the paper is still very good. But even so, we have to compete with some other, you can see the difference, Sir Arfing. Some other countries, they do nuclear power plant. For us, it's like coal-fired power plant. I mean, we can see that the difference, when people talk about nuclear already, we still talk about the coal, fired, power plant. But I think let's try our luck, okay? Let's don't feel demotivated, okay? I think it's still okay, it's still acceptable, okay? Don't worry, you can use that as one of your requirements for your PhD, okay? And the research gap is not the same with the research aim, so it's totally different, okay? And this is the common mistake in presenting research gap, okay? The first one is definitely lack of proper reading, when you don't read, you don't know what's the trend. When you don't read, you don't have the sense of judgment. Okay, I would encourage everybody in this PhD level to read. Okay, I I don't say PhD is hard in terms of the hard, you know, new knowledge. I would say it's hard because you have to spend time. The time that that you need to spend for a certain topic, or the time that you need to devote it to a certain topic, it's difficult. Yeah, it takes time. Everything takes time, and sometimes, while dealing with the time, you feel demotivated. So that is actually and perhaps your advisor, will not help you. But don't worry, Dr. Young and I, we are so I would say accommodating. But even so, we are so accommodating. It's not up to us, you know, who can let you, graduate. It's up to the reviewers, and we don't know who is the reviewers. Okay, so, but we will try our best to really facilitate everybody. Okay. And then this one, directly jump to the conclusion that nobody has investigated before. Are you sure? Nobody has investigated that before. It's just you don't read. That's why you jump it like that. I don't think you will say like, oh, this is the first study, the blah blah blah. Really? Are you sure? Unless you read 100 papers, then you can state it like that. Uh, one of my publications, actually I stated like a very, how you say that, very brief, that this is one of the first studies, something like that. But even so, I'm still put a humble way, one of the first studies. Okay, so it's not the first one, but one of the first studies. So you can say something like that. If you think that it's a new one, like COVID-19, something like that with the COVID-19, you can just mention it like that. And then the final, mistake, okay, is the lack of the justification for addressing the gap. Okay, so the third one, why is lack of justification? Because you don't have the knowledge, you don't have the certain skill in that field. For example, when you talk about the icon, let's say, you have to understand what is matching accuracy, matching sequence, matching time, and then you have to understand what is the the correct statistical analysis and so on. So you have to understand the certain knowledge before, although you only read so many papers, but if you don't have the basic knowledge, of course there will be, you don't know, and you have lack of justification for addressing the gap. So let's go to the academic writing. Okay, this style of academic writing is for human factors and ergonomics. It's a little bit different with the Dr. Young. Okay, so he's from the optimization people. I'm from ergo people. So we're kind of like a little bit different. But in this type, we are kind of like a different, because if you read his paper, uh, I published one paper about optimization. Two, I think, two about optimizations. Okay. Uh, when I wrote those papers, yes, the format was a little bit different, but most of my papers is actually ergo type. So it's actually like, standard type. Okay. So you have to be an effective communicator. What I mean in here is like, you know, paper is telling a story. It's like a comic. When you read a paper, and then you can understand 100% what it means, with what the intended meaning, or like what the main point of the paper. It means the paper is good. It means the paper is, wow, amazing. But when you read the paper, okay, and you don't understand anything about that, it means it's a bad paper. It's not the opposite. When you don't understand, you feel like, oh, this is a good paper. No. When you don't understand that paper, I mean, but of course you have to have the certain knowledge. For example, talking about safety culture, then you have to have built a certain knowledge about the safety culture. Okay, but if you have built certain knowledge about the safety culture, but you still don't understand that paper, it means that paper is not good. Okay. And then in here you have to write it effectively, and you have to choose the appropriate journals, and then you have to logically organize your ideas. Okay. Okay, so this is the general, I would say, okay, pattern in the academic writing in the human factors field. Okay, so if you check someone from computer science, from electrical engineering, architecture, those are very different. The format, but this is the format that I want everybody to uh, go the deep. You have the strong background in the human factors because of this one, because of the format in the human factors. Okay, so in here you can see, like, you start something very general, specific, and then the general again. Okay, so you have to logically link your ideas through your manuscript. And this is the 4 basic questions that you need to answer in your paper. Okay, the first one is like, why your study need to be done. You have to answer it in the introduction. And what did you do? You have to mention it in the methodology. Actually, the easiest part for me is actually methodology. What did you find and the results? Result is easy. You just describe what happened. But the hardest one is actually introduction and discussion. Because introduction is actually, you have to put the position of your paper, and the discussion is actually putting your position of your paper too, by comparing with the findings with the other studies. Okay, so in the discussion you have to mention how will your study advance the field. Okay, so you have to compare the contradictory findings or the similar findings with other studies. Then you also have to go mention about what is the contribution, how can your equation can be used, or like what is the practical implication, what is the theoretical implication of your study. Okay. Okay, this is the introduction. Okay, it looks like a simple triangle, but when you do that, it's not that simple. Okay, it's a lot of hard work. Okay, in the introduction, it looks so easy, but in fact, it's so difficult. Okay, okay, so we will start with a very general, something very general. Okay, then you have to state what is currently known. Then you have to mention the research gap, very clearly. What is the research gap, or yeah, what is the research gap in your study? Okay, then you can state your specific field. Sorry, specific aims of your study in that field. Okay, okay, okay. Up to here, so far so good. So far so good.
Good, pretty good.
Yes,
Okay,
sir.
Yes, Doctor.
okay,
Yes,
because
Doc. So far, so good.
yeah, because this is human factors, I will always ask the feedback. Okay, so human factors, I always want a feedback from my students. Okay, since all of us are an engineers, okay, we like something with a formula or like mathematics. Okay, so this is the way we signal the missing information. Okay, so this is actually the way we signal the missing information. Okay, so signal words, the gap, and then the research topic. Okay, so we can do something like however, few studies have reported on blah 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 blah. However, there is that little information available on blah 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 blah. But I don't like the word but. Okay, don't use the word but. However, is okay. Okay, so however actually is a good one. Next one, you can also do something like this one, signal, word, previous work, plus the gap and topic, okay? Like although some literature is available on X, little information is available on Y. While many studies have been done on X, little information is available on Y, okay? So you can signal your research gap clearly. Okay, clearly define what is your research gap. Okay. Sometimes when you read undergraduate thesis, they're so proud. Like, sir, my introduction is like 10 pages. Okay, I wish I could say, like, oh, I want to burn it. you know, I'm like, what for? Why for you? You send me like 10 pages. I'm so busy. I will not. I don't have time to read that. And even worse, like there was a one paragraph, one page. So I'm like, what are you talking about? One paragraph, one page. Like what is the main idea of that paragraph? I'm not someone who's typically impressed with the long and meaningless work. So I like very simple, concise, meaningful work. Okay, look at this is one of my publications. Okay, in the color research and application. Okay, okay, hey, okay. So this one. Look at the way how I did the research gap. This one, the image similarity, blah blah blah, and so on. However, these indexes only provide an information, blah 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 blah. And then another one, Xue et al. Proposed a new method, blah 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 blah. And again here, however, such a method is difficult to be implemented, blah 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 blah. So if you have something like this, okay, the citation is 16 already. Okay, so it's actually when you did something like this, you have to make it very clearly where is the research gap. Okay, you can criticize people's work, and then you can try to expand, expand the knowledge based on the study. Okay. Okay, this is another my paper. Okay, the continuity actually from the previous paper. Ooh, 10 already. Okay. So the continuity of the first publication. Okay. So what is the research gap in here? The research gap is my own study. So I'm attacking myself, my own study, but it's okay. So when you build a certain knowledge in a certain field and you feel you already successfully published that one, then you can continue publishing in that topic. Okay. So break down your mindset that you have to do very different studies. My I have three advisors and three of them they don't do a different kind of the ergo topics at the same time. They try to make it like very firm in their own field and on their own world, and they will continue that years and years, and they become so successful and very famous in that field. Okay, so look at this one. Previously, we applied an optimization technique by utilizing response surface methodology, blah 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 blah. However, the optimization technique was blah 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 based on the local optimum, and then in fact there is a global optimum, that perhaps that that you can find from that equation. The function is actually to minimize. It's actually a minimizing function, okay? But if you utilize the response surface methodology, because response surface is actually based on the available data, but there is another technique that what we call meta heuristics. That's the beyond that one. Perhaps you can find a global optimum or closer to the global optimum. So basically, that's the idea of this study, okay? But of course, I tested that to the human because this is an ergo paper, so I have to tested that the visual detection test to the human, because this is not just the optimization one, but this is actually optimization with the ergonomics. But I don't want to continue this paper again. So honestly, that when it comes to the optimization, it's not my world. I'm like, it's not so me, and I feel like it's I would say, it's not so me. So I will just leave this study until that. But so many people already decided already. So let's see what will happen. So, okay. And I became the reviewer too of the, some studies that utilize the optimization technique in the military camouflage field. Okay. Okay. Another one is actually I would like to talk about the paragraph navigation. Okay, this is very important. The paragraph navigation, that is what makes your paper very easy. Very like a comic or very well written. Look at the way I did the paragraph navigation. The last word of that paragraph will be the main idea of the next paragraph. That's basically the logic. Okay, look at this one. Blah 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 blah. An optimization technique. Previously, we applied an optimization technique, blah, 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 blah. And then a further investigation is required to derive global optimum, and it can be obtained by utilizing a more advanced optimization approach. Optimization approach can be divided. You can see the long, how you say that, very connected one paragraph with the next paragraph, okay? So when I read the paper, don't make it too long. Don't make the paragraph perhaps 4 sentences, already the maximum, or 4 to 5 sentences, that's already the maximum, okay? So when the students, undergraduate especially, undergraduate students send me in a very long and thick paper, I'm like, oh, what are you doing with your study? Okay, I got a headache reading that one. This is someone from, I don't know, this one from chemistry or chemical engineering, you can also do it with, sentence to sentence like this one. This is the logical flow ideas, okay? See, the catalytic efficiency, the increased efficiency was blah, 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 blah. But I have my own style for doing like this one. Okay, I'll show you in my paper after this one. This is my paper last year, I think, right? Yeah, December last year. Okay, so this is about the eye movement. Okay, hopefully that I can buy the eye tracker, hopefully within next year. Okay, I'm saving money right now, so hopefully I can buy it. Okay, and then this one, this is the way I build the research gap. Okay, despite the availability of many studies related to accuracy and symptoms in virtual reality, very limited study investigated the comparison between other eye movement measures to accuracy and symptoms. See, this is very clear, right? I read how many papers, 7 papers, and I found a research gap, And then I criticized one guy, this guy actually. But the funny thing is, like, I met this guy. So I met this guy, like in he's actually a senior faculty, and I criticize his work in a very brutal way. Look at this one, However, the loading factor of saccade amplitude was found below blah 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 blah, and the path coefficient of the stroke blah 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 blah. In addition, this model could not explain further. This is so harsh. But I mean, well, it's the paper. I don't feel, how we say that. You don't need to feel afraid, or you don't need to feel inferior when you criticize somebody's work. As long as it is scientific, you can just state it clearly and explain it why. Okay, so this is actually, I explain it very clearly why that model is not that good. And I know his publication is actually published in the lowest level of the SCI journal. It's SCI, but it's still in the lowest level, okay? So that's why that I know his work that time was not that nice. So that's why like I criticize it in a very harsh way like this one. This is my paper, the Mapua's first paper about COVID-19, okay? And you know what? Four of them, they're undergraduate students. One, two, three, four, okay? So if undergraduate students and they just graduated can publish SCI journals, you know, I hope all of you can also publish. Oh, it's not I hope. All of you have to, you know, have to, because my undergraduate students set to the SCI journal. So I believe all of you can also go to the SCI journals, okay? And now I'm getting crazier, like the senior high school student can go to SCI journal, hopefully. So don't worry, we will work hard together to go to this level, okay? Look at the way I build the research gap. Despite the availability of different studies about preventive measures in other countries, there is a significant lack of academic research addressing the COVID-19 situation in the Philippines. But this study actually, I did it in May 2020. So that time there was, limited study about the COVID-19 in the Philippines. But now there are a lot. Many studies published by the UP Manila or like some of the medical schools. I think they publish quite numerous papers, but it's more about the medical field. Okay, so and this paper actually, yeah, we made this paper within less than 3 weeks. But of course, we did not sleep. I mean, we shared the workload. You know, you do this, you do that, and I tried to how is it that I tried to um, you know, I tried to combine everybody's talents. But even so, it was not that easy. You know, this paper was rejected twice by the editor in the two journals because they feel that I am not from medical or from the public health, and they don't seems like really how you say that trust. I now I realize that they did not trust someone from industrial engineering can publish a study very public health like this one. You know, but I would say I would say that why not? You know, I mean, when I read the papers from the public health, I feel like, well, I think it's so simple. You know, in terms of the mathematical, part, it's actually very simple. So I'm an engineer, so I believe that I can have a strong background in a mathematical analysis. So yeah, the paper got accepted. Okay, so but this one is quite fast actually. It was the review process until the acceptance, the total time is it's only 3 weeks. Okay, from the first submission up to the acceptance, it took me only 3 weeks because this is about COVID-19. That's why I think the paper needs to be published as soon as possible. Next, avoid complex words. Okay, so don't impress people with your complex English. Okay, this is not the English competition. Okay, this is not the I would say, this is not an English this is not an English competition. Okay, this is academic writing. Okay, so explain your idea or explain your paper in a very simple way. So I don't feel impressed again. I don't feel impressed with the long paper. I don't feel impressed with the long paragraph. I don't feel impressed with the long sentences, or even I don't impressed uh, with the because of the English. The beauty of the good paper is actually you create something very complex and you try to explain it to a very simple way, so someone not from your field, they can understand what you are doing. Then it means you are good. When people read your paper and then we feel like, oh, this is very simple and then very straightforward, then it means a good paper. Okay, so use a very simple language, okay, and explain your complex idea, in a very simple way to the readers. Okay, so well, let me tell you the story of this paper. So basically, like there are, it looks like there are five, authors, over there, but most of the time, actually, it's almost 100% written by me. Okay, so this is how you say that, November 2020. Okay, so it's listed this month, but actually it got accepted 2 months ago, I think. September, yeah, in September, I think, yeah. And then this paper, like I told you before, it was rejected once with the comments. Okay, with the after the review process, it was rejected. But I don't feel disappointed, but I feel like the comments were, I would say, correct. I would say the comments were so make sense. So I just try to calm down and not that sad and try to face the comments, revise it, and I submit it back to the journal. And within less than 2 weeks, the paper got major revision. But why? I think I submitted in July. By why it's until September? Because I was so focusing on the COVID-19 paper, during that time. So this paper, I just like, oh, okay, well, I can do that after my COVID-19 paper because I really wanted to publish the COVID-19 paper that time. So that's why after that paper, then I focused on this paper. Okay. So look at the way I create the research gap. Okay. This one. Despite the availability of many studies related to vulnerability, very limited study investigated the interrelationship among vulnerability dimensions. Okay, so this is actually, I stated very clearly what is the lacking in here. And then here, most studies only measured blah, 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 without investigating the interrelationship among these 3 dimensions. So in here, see, I cite another studies, okay? And then I also criticize, one more study in here. So the research gap is very clear. So in this paper, okay? So basically that all of you need to make it your paper as simple, straightforward, and then as clear as possible. Okay, this one is actually another research gap that I found that, essentially I criticize the technique, they only use multiple linear regression and principal component analysis. In fact, you can combine both techniques using the structural equation modeling. So this one actually that another way I criticize the paper. Okay, don't worry, I will break down your knowledge about the multiple linear regression and principal component analysis. Hopefully by when we talk about the physical ergonomics, especially when we talk about the predicting model. Predictive model. Okay. So, okay, just like all of you, perhaps all of you learned that, after the research gap, you will learn about what is the goal, right? The objective for your study, okay? So in here, I would like all of you to forget what you have learned in the undergraduate or in the master degree that, you've learned that you have to state 3 objectives in your, paper, in fact, it is not, okay? So even if you have one objective for your paper, it's still SDI. I mean, if you have very clearly what is your goal, okay, this is for example, in my paper, see, the purpose of the study was to derive the interrelationship among 3 vulnerability dimensions utilizing confirmatory factor analysis approach. Only that. That's basically my only goal, okay? So I don't have to state like I would like to investigate the second goal, like the connection between sensitivity and resilience, and I mean, what for? You already state that with, it's already under this one. You don't need to make it like 1, 2, 3 just to follow the format. So, but I know in the Philippines, like, it's really difficult for me. Even for me, I have a very huge debate with some faculties, okay, because of the, the format of that one. But the one that I've learned from my advisors is like, just like this one. So in this PhD program, okay, go back again to the very basic. So we build the same level of knowledge about what is the academic writing in the human factors in ergonomics. So in here, look at this one. As supported by some previous studies, the current study mainly focuses on the blah, 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 blah from blah, 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 blah. And I made the distinct, the, how you say that? The gap also, or the new part, the small new part of my study, see this one. Different from this guy and this guy, the novelty of the current study was the interrelationship among the dimension itself. So this is actually I stated very clearly what is new in here. So after the goal, you have to mention what is your contribution. So in the human factors field, that is the end of the chapter 1 or the introduction part. So it ended up with the purpose. Okay, and I like if you state the purpose directly like this one. I don't like a blah 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 blah. And the purpose of the study, I like just like what I mentioned before. I like it stated very direct. Well, of course, it's also about the personality of the writer because I'm so direct. But if you make it so direct like that, it will be easier and it will be clearer, okay? And no need to make it very complicated. Use the simple English it's good. Hey, what happened? Oh, I think I think I click. Sorry. I think I clicked the paper. Okay, so let me go back. Okay, so this one, why I make it like this one could be a significant because in here there is a level of the model auxiliaries. Okay, so when you state about your contribution of your study, you have to be very humble with your study. Okay, don't say that your study will change the world or your study will change, the way, blah blah blah, and so on. So it's very rare in the scientific, in the industrial engineering, especially in the ergonomics field, you stated will. This equation will change Fitt's law. Wow. I mean, like, who are you? You said that equation will change the Fitt's law. Unless like my grandfather in research, my advisors. His name is Colin Drury, and he has his own law. His name, the law of the law using his own name called Drury's law. You can check. I will explain what is Drury's law in the Fitt's law week, in the fourth week. I will explain why my, I would say, grand, because he's still alive and he's still very healthy, in New York. But hopefully, I don't know, during this COVID-19, hopefully he's still okay. And then the lower one will be would, and then lower one should, may, and could. And most of my publications, I just did it could. This equation could be what, this study could be theoretical foundations, and so on. Okay, so be humble with your study, but state it very clearly in your contribution. Okay, and use the active more, don't use passive more. Okay, use active more. It's like we evaluated the models, blah 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 blah. Don't use the more passive. Okay, so more active sentences. And then I don't combine three sentences. I always ask my students to, hey, cut, and then cut again, the sentence, to make it just like a one sentence, one idea, because it will make us easier to read the paper. And avoid complex words like this one. This is so, hilarious, like to ascertain the efficiency of the program. What is this one? We interrogated the participants. I mean, what's wrong with this guy? You impressed with your English. This is not TOEFL test. This is not the IELTS. This is academic writing. Okay, so do a simple one. To determine the success of the program, we interview the participants, and so on. Okay, so avoid complex words. Okay, and then be consistent with your word. For example, you talk about the behavioral based safety. So everything should be behavioral based safety, not behavioral safety. So behavioral based safety, make it the same term, okay, in your paper, because I would say the consistency in the paper is actually very important. For example, like me, vulnerability to natural hazards. Okay, I don't want to change to natural hazards. I don't want to change vulnerability of natural hazards, or natural hazard vulnerability. So you have to make it into one, the same term. Okay, the same term in the. Don't be too creative like the English task. No need to do it like that. You have to be very consistent with your term. And this is the methods. Okay, the method part. Okay, basically that the in human factors is very simple and very straightforward. In this class, in this class we will utilize the structural equation modeling. Then you're going to be three main idea, three sections: participants, the questionnaire, and then the statistical analysis. So basically there are only three sections. Okay, but if it's about the cognitive ergonomics, so you have to mention the participants, the apparatus, okay, and the independent variable, dependent variable, procedure, and also the statistical analysis. So basically those six are the, I would say, the basic, the methodology part in the human factors field. Okay. And then the results part. Okay. And then in the results part, when you would like to present a figure or a table, don't forget that you have to use the present tense, not use the past tense. Okay, for example, figure one demonstrates that blah blah blah, you know, or like figure one represents about blah 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 blah. So you have to use the present tense. But if you would like to mention about the findings inside of the figure or the findings inside of the table, you have to use past tense. You know, based on the table 6, we found that blah 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 were blah 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 blah. You know, so it should be the past tense when you would like to describe the findings. But if you would like to present, you know, present the figure or the table, okay, you have to use the present tense. And this is the discussion. Okay, for me, introduction and discussions are the hardest part, you know, because the discussion is going to be talk about the comparison and then the position of your paper. Okay, so it's actually very important, you know, and then the contradictory or similarity with the other studies, you know, especially in the human factors field. Then you have to mention also the relevance, and then here it comes again, you know, I have big disagreement with many faculties in Mapua, but it's okay, you know, perhaps I'm just too different, especially when we talk about the limitations of the study. Okay, the one in the undergraduate thesis, you know, I have to follow the format that the limitation should be mentioned before the methodology. There is a section called scope and limitation. Okay, okay, scope is okay. I mean, scope, I would say that yes, it's okay if you mention about the scope of your study. But if you mention about the limitation of the study, how do you know? I mean, I haven't finished your paper, and then you mentioned what this study is limited to. Like, I'm like, why you mentioned that? You know, the limitations, you know, the correct one in the human factors field, it should be before the conclusion. You have to mention your, I mean, let the readers read all the papers, then the readers will know like, oh yeah, it's actually limited in here. Okay, and then perhaps for the future research, you know, you can mention about in this part also. Okay, so break it down all your knowledge in the in the undergraduate and the master degree, because we are going to the very different field, different level. Then the limitations should be in here. Can I ask Yoshiki, do you also mention limitations before the before the methodology? Can I ask? Is it like that also? In
Sir, with the one we submitted, sir.
no, no, no. The one in the how is it that in your school, the thesis and so on.
Yes, sir, before.
Diba? See? Or like you know, so because like you will see, because like I don't know, perhaps, you know, people just follow the format of the previous year and nobody, you know, has they don't read the papers and they have the no sense of justification what should be done in the, you know, in the writing as the writing a good paper. So perhaps like that's the common problem. But I think we're kind of like getting better and better. So not talking about the paper between you and I, you know, it's impossible. You know, if you work together with me, we always mention the limitations before the conclusions. And last but not least, I would like to mention about the abstract, you know, because, you know, some people, you know, even some faculties, they miss the understanding about what is abstract. Okay, so abstract should be less than 150 words. Okay, and it should mention about these things: the background, aims, method, results, conclusions. Okay, without the discussions. So when there was a who is that one master degree student submitted his final paper and his abstract is like 1 page. I'm like, oh my god, this is not abstract. You know, I'm like you know what I mean, do you know what is abstract? You know, abstract is just a short and a simple one. You know, because the final check you would like to read the abstract, right? And then the abstract is like 1 page. I'm like, I, do you understand what is abstract? The abstract is just like this one, you know. And then you have to mention it very clearly and very, you know, simple way. And then just go to this one. Okay, this is the what is this one? Okay, oh, this is my paper. Look at this one. I mentioned here the goal of the study very clearly. The purpose. Okay, the current study applied SEM to analyze blah 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 and so on. And this is the methodology. You know, 12 participants, blah blah blah. Sorry, and so on. And then I go to the results part. You know, the results show that blah 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 blah. And this is the contribution. Okay, the SEM could provide blah 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 and so on. So even in some international conferences, like I got headache, when I see the long abstract, like perhaps like a half page, like the of the first page, I'm like, wow, that's too long. That's not even abstract. So this is actually the way we, write correct, abstract. And the final one is actually very powerful. The reader will check what can they do with your study. So the last one in here is very powerful. So you have to think how to how to market your paper by stating in your last sentence in your abstract. Okay. Because based on the abstract, people will know whether your paper is good or your paper is bad. Especially in human factors field, I will check the conclusions and the method. If the method is weird, then I'll feel like this is weird. Okay. If the usually for human factors, I will check method and I will check the conclusions. Okay. The findings depends. Sometimes can be significant, not significant. It's not a big deal as long as you can explain it why. But as long as the method is clear and the conclusion, is also clear, then it should be fine. This is the tips and challenge. That well, start something that you're passionate about. Start something with anything that you like in your field. Okay, so don't start something that you don't like. There was a time when my advisor told me like, hey Yogi, why don't you do you like the physiology? I'm like, no, I don't like physiology because physiology full of the coding, full of the synchronizing with so many different devices, and then I had to write my own code, and my advisor told me, oh, do you like the biomechanics? I'm like, oh, that's gonna be a tough one, because well, doing the high level of SCI level of biomechanics, it's not like what you learn. It's not like do the postural analysis. Postural analysis is fine, but not something like with the physics, with the body, and then you calculate this only manually. It's not going to happen in the SCI journal. You have to use the motion capture and you have to use the kinematics analysis. And then after that you have to do the kinematics and the dynamics, the dynamics analysis, so I will talk about that on the fourth week, about the kinematics and also the dynamics using the Fitts law. Okay. And then so you have to start something that you're passionate about. So if you don't passionate about that topic, just tell me or tell the advisor. It's just me and Dr. Yang in here. So tell them that it's difficult for you. Okay. And then after that, you have to determine the trends. So especially like COVID-19, okay, there are so many good trends about the COVID-19, and it's a good chance for you to really write paper about the something that is in trends. Or for example, you want to do something like, oh, I want to do biomechanics. I'm like, but we don't have the equipment. Oh, it's okay, we can do that. If you check the trend, it's impossible for you to publish the biomechanics without the equipment. You have to do the motion capture, if you want to do the biomechanics, or you have to use the EMG, and you have to use the force plate to do the gate analysis and so on. So, and you have to do, of course, with the reputable advisor, okay, that is also very important, because PhD is not just about you. It's about you and your advisor. You are in the same level, equal level with your advisor. So if you have to work hard together with your advisor. And last but not least, just do it. Do your study. I mean, don't think too much. If it is not good enough, then we can go back again and see what should we do with the findings. See, this is a proof, okay, that I've done a lot of hard work in the past when I did, when I did my study, okay. And then the sad part, okay, about this study, eventually it was rejected, this study. And then I know why this one got rejected, because it's actually just it's the same experiment, one experiment. It actually produced two SCI from the same data. But this one is actually the third paper. I just tried to combine both published paper. Of course, the novelty is not new, okay? So doing something, the secondary data, it's secondary experimental data, it's something dangerous, okay? Because you already published that in a conference, if you already published an experimental data in a conference and you would like to use the same data to the SCI journal, usually it's a big problem. Okay, now I realize that I cannot do that. So if you want to do that, you have to do it the opposite. Your STI journal first, then you try to use the small variables that you don't use to the conference. So that should be the opposite. But if that data already published to SCI, basically that's that's it. That is the story. Okay. So this is very important, okay, for all of you. I hope that all of you will start doing something like this, okay, after my meeting, after this meeting. So find a topic that utilize the structural equation modeling that you like. It's either, can be disaster related, can be the technology acceptance related, theory of planned behavior related, safety culture. It can also be the satisfaction about the anything is surface quality is also okay. It's still a part of macro ergonomics, or about the safety behavior. You can also do that. So in here, I would like everyone to do this kind of the research cap table. Okay, so you have to list the title. The year is very important because you will have the sense whether that topic is actually still hot or not. Okay, and then you have to mention the country, because the country can be the research cap. For example, the one that I've done, like I mentioned, many studies in the other countries, but lacking of studies in the Philippines. That can be done as the research cap. And why the journal in here? Why? Okay, I usually don't ask the student to cite conference. So find in here a journal. Don't find a conference as your reference in the research cap. Then it can also be your how you say that, it can also be your it cannot be your choice. Okay, the reference where to put your study. For example, the journal, like this one, information management, is a very great journal. Okay, the purpose. And then this one, this one actually also very important. Okay, number of respondents. Do you know why? Because if you don't have the sense of the, why I put the number of respondents, okay? Because so many researchers, they do something like the minimum number of sample using the Slofin's formula. And then in fact that nobody has done that in the SCM type of study. And then they come up with a very low sample. For example, like the one that I found in the conference, they do SCM with only 40 samples. I'm like, no one do SCM with 40 samples, although it's just a conference, but even so, don't do that too low quality with the 40 samples. Okay, but another one is actually you can have the sense of justification, or until how far, or how many samples that you think is already good enough. But I think based on my experiences, I think 400 to 600, I think is already good enough, usually. Okay, and then you have to list also the factors that you use, because in here, by listing the factors, okay, you will know how to mix and match these factors. Because making your STM is actually basically like making making halo halo. Then you combine this, you combine that, and you created your own, and you use that model in your field, or in a certain topic. Okay, so basically that's it. And then why this is important, the conclusions. Okay, because the conclusion in here, you can put this one as the reference when you write the introduction and you write the discussion. Okay, when you have a very nice table like this one, I'm certain that you will have a good paper, if you know how to how to use this table. Okay, and this can be a summary for you to really speed up with your advisor. Especially for me, I will always ask my student to do this because it helps me to speed up when we write a new paper. Of course, you gotta be smarter than me because you read that one first up to this point. But I'm still at this point. So for me to speed up with you, the fastest way is actually by reading this research cap table. So we can be equal, and we can be like, okay, then if so, then we try to do with this one. Okay. Okay. This is the common challenge, you know, but this is only for the master degree and undergraduate degree, not for PhD degree, because but perhaps for some of you are faculties, so perhaps you also face the same problems with me. So everything in the Philippines, it should be new and cannot be the continuity of the previous students. So in fact, you know, top researchers, especially, well, I look up at my advisors, and three of them are actually that they don't try to put something new. Even my advisor, you know, Dr. Chi, Chaf and Chi, that she can publish Q1 SCI journal with the data from 2005. You know, the journal is 2019, but the data is 2005. Can you imagine that? So when you develop a certain, how you say that, skills in a certain field, you know, and you will, you know, continue that field again and again, you become famous in that field, you know, then even you can publish a very old data with in a very, you know, innovative in a new way. Okay, just like what she did. And then okay, so don't feel demotivated when your journal is you know, rejected, or like we will go to another SCI journal. Okay, don't go to the lower level, like of course you cannot submit your study to conference, you only can choose the non-SCI, but let's not go to the non-SCI at this moment. Let's go to the hardest one, to the SCI journals. Okay, and this is the, well, the best practice of doing research, you know, from student A student to the student B, A plus B and A plus B plus C. So this is actually a good scenario of the, you know, in the research. But for us, all of us, you will go from here and directly from here, you know, to go to the SCI journals. But I think we can do it. Okay, well, this is the, yeah, my past experience. You know, you can see it's actually that we published the journal first. After the journals, we published the conference paper. Okay, the with a different method, but even with the same variables, you know, you can also do that. So the main idea is like not the conference first, then the SCI. It should be SCI first, then the conference. Okay, so basically that is the you know, one thing that I would like to mention it to you. And you can see the continuity, you know, this is using the same data. See how many papers that we published so far using the same data. And then the same set of data. I think two set of data actually in here. So we try to build a strong knowledge in that certain field. Okay, so basically that's the first part, you know, before we take a break to the next part. Okay, any questions? Any questions? Are you sure no question?
Yeah, I have some questions, sir.
Okay, what question, Tanatorn?
I want to know if we cannot publish in SCI journal. What can we do?
We will publish to.
Can it be non-SCI to graduate?
We will publish to open access journal. We will publish to open access journal. Don't
Open
worry.
access journal can be graduate.
Yes, open access can be SCI too. Okay, I will explain what is open access after this one. Okay. Okay, so okay, wow, Dr. Yang is here. Okay, Dr. Yang is here. Okay, Dr. Yang, I think another you know, point that I think we can publish to SCI journal, but open access, you know, and we try to request Mapua to pay for that one. Okay, so that is a good way to, you know, to get your money back. To get your money back from the school. We're not joking, okay? Okay, so let me show it to you what is open access journal, okay? So MDPI, okay? So let me share the screen, wait for a while. Okay, so this one, okay? For example, you can just check, let's just check my name there. This one, open access. What does mean? What it means by open access? Can someone answer me? The students, not Dr. Yang. What is open access journal? Yoshiki, what is open access?
Oh my God, sir. Open access, sir, is that you would for the people to see, to be able to see your whole paper, you will be the one to shoulder the. Am I right, sir? You
Yes,
are the
correct.
one who will be the. You will be the one to shoulder the payment for the publisher to publish your paper for the availability.
Yes, correct. So basically
Publish.
that basically like you pay, you know, the you pay to the journal, but it's not something like you know, you give money so the process will be easier. No, 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 it's not like that. I mean, the the open access journal is actually the still, you know, well, some open access journal are non-SCI, but we will not go non-SCI and open access, you know, because it's not that word. You pay and then it's non-SCI, you know. So what will we do is actually we will publish in a open access and then SCI. Okay. So open access. So this one, actually Mapua paid for this paper. Do you know how much? This is 90,000 pesos, you know, 90,000 pesos. So 90,000 pesos is like how many THP? Okay, wait for a while. I would like to count it for a while. So 90,000 pesos is like 56. Oh no, 57 THP. Wow. 57,000 THP. The school pay for that one. Okay. For this one. But I requested the school, okay, to pay for this one, of course. Okay, to shoulder this one. I don't have money to pay the expensive, you know. My salary is like below that one. Okay. And then this one, okay, as you can see, the how is it that the one that without open access, you know, you cannot access this. Access this one. Why I can access this one? Because I use the proxy Mapua, right? Wait. All of you know how to use the internet from Mapua, right? Once you got the student ID, okay, you can click the Mapua library, click the e-journals, okay, you can do that, and you can click the, well, anything, you know, for example, Elsevier, blah, 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 and so on, you know. Then you need to use your student ID for the login, okay? But of course, you can download everything with the Sci-Hub, you know, if you want to crack everything, you know. But the disadvantage of the Sci-Hub is actually you cannot download the newest one. Usually, when the paper is actually like still new or still just got published, you know, it's still not available in the Sci-Hub. You have to wait around 1 month to 2 months usually until the paper is listed in the Sci-Hub. Okay, so the open access is actually you can always download it anytime because the publication fee is actually shouldered by the authors. Okay, and you have the copyright to really publish all of that, you know. But this one, you know, the publication, I would say that the author right, I mean the authorship belongs to the publisher itself, the Elsevier itself. You know, you cannot, you know, you have to pay to get the access of this one. So you agree, right? I mean, this one is kind of like a slavery system to to the researchers. You know, like we submit the journal and then we pay. You know, and then like or we submit for free, but people want to download it with pay. You know, but the payment not goes to us. You know, so I feel like somehow we're kind of like slave. You know, do you agree with that, Yoshiki?
Yes, sir.
Yeah,
Agree.
right. Agree, right? You agree, right? Because like the sad thing, you know, there was one student from one faculty from the Mindanao. I mean, he wanted to download this paper, but he could not get the access, you know, because he told me like, hey, oh, and then he mailed me, you know, to really want to read my paper, you know. So well, I of course I just sent the paper to him, you know, but it feels so sad that you know, I submitted something for free and then people needs to pay to download my paper, so I feel a little bit sad for that one. Okay, but do you know why this paper I submit to open access journal? Because I was so nervous that time somebody will copy my paper. Okay, because because this is so easy to be copied, you know, this paper. Okay, it's so simple actually. The paper itself, it looks like the model is very complex, but it's actually the main idea is very simple. So that time, the good thing about open access journal is like the process is actually quite fast. Okay, sometimes like this one. Okay, like MDPI. Okay, this one, open access, you know, open access journal, you know. And the MDPI, do you know how fast is this? 2 weeks got accepted SCI. So you know, if you feel nervous in this program, you know, then you can have 1 month. You submit to journals in here and you get your PhD. That is also possible, you know. But we will request the money to the school. In here, it's actually still expensive. I think one paper is around 80,000 pesos, so around 50,000 THP, you know. But the chance for getting accepted is actually very high in this for example, like sustainability or applied science, you know, is still under MDPI. You know, the chance for getting a step is this one. See, sustainability or like applied science, you know, or like sensors. You know, this is actually the open access journals. You know, and then the acceptance rate is actually very high. Okay, so in case you know you really want to have a injury time, I would say you know that well, including Dean Rex, you know, Dean Rex also he has one publication in here, you know, because of the injury time that during his PhD. Okay, so and many of my friends, you know, they also did the same thing to graduate the PhD, you know, with the injury time. They feel like, oh, it's already 3 years and I cannot graduate, and they do. But it doesn't mean the study is low quality. No, no, no. We just speed up the process and increase the acceptance rate. You know, usually the MDPI, the review process still the same. They still, you know, the reviewer is actually still harsh, still how to say criticize your work, you know, but the process is fast, you know. That's the good thing about this one. Okay, so Tanatorn, is that answer your question? Tanatorn, is that answer your question?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, right.
Okay.
Okay, so
Okay.
there is another choice. Okay, but this is not cheating. Okay, this is just I don't know how to say that. You know, this is not a cheating. Okay, but
Shortcut.
I would say yeah, shortcut. I would say, but speed up. You know, to speed up the process. Okay, but let's try to let's try to submit your paper in non-pay one, because if it's the free journal, is gonna be very the feeling is different. You know, the feeling when you got accepted in a free journal and the feeling when you got accepted in a pay journal, because when you already got the acceptance rate acceptance, you have to pay, and you feel like I feel so guilty paying so expensive, with that much money. With that money I can buy what many things. I can go diving for so many times, with 90,000 pesos. I can go diving like 30 times, perhaps. Okay. One thing that I want to share to you is actually before we take a break, okay? We will take a break before I go to the next topic, okay? Okay, okay, this is my, publication, okay? So you can check the introduction part. See, in here, I define it very clearly. Vulnerability is an important part, blah, 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 blah. It is defined as the degree. Okay, do you know why I make it this one? Vulnerability is an important part in the disaster risk reduction. Do you know why? This is like marketing, because the journal is disaster risk reduction. So I make it like a very, very, how you say that, very marketing style, like it can be, important part in the disaster risk reduction. But in fact, it's just to, you know, to sell into that journal actually. It is defined as blah, 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 geographer, blah, blah, blah. And look at how I connect the first paragraph and the second paragraph. Look at this one. One of the most commonly vulnerability studies in the disaster risk reduction is vulnerability to natural hazards. See, it's very clear because vulnerability can be like I told you before, vulnerability to the poverty, health vulnerability, or like, of course, this one like the natural hazards vulnerability, So this one, I would like to talk about vulnerability to natural hazards, okay? Vulnerability to natural hazards is a branch of therapy, blah, 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 by natural hazards. And the next one, natural hazards, blah, 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 abnormal or extreme conditions. These abnormal or extreme physical phenomena, So it's sentence by sentence, the way you connect it should be nicely linked. And when people read it, people will like, oh, it's just very simple. But in fact, it's not simple. You will know that writing this one, it took me crazy months, 2 months, I think, but 2 months like very full, very focused, because this is the new topic for me. I don't really know what is vulnerability before. And then this one, In order to assess the vulnerability to natural hazards, it is important for researchers to define the dimensions of vulnerability to natural hazards. Okay. So what is the next paragraph? The main topic of the next paragraph. 3 dimensions, right? Vulnerability of natural hazards consists of 3 different dimensions. So I just talk about the dimensions of the vulnerability. You know, one, define, blah, 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 and so on. And then this one, despite, this is what? The research gap, right? Blah, 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 blah. You already saw it before. And then this one, most of previous study, you know, such approach must decompose, blah, 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 blah. So this is another research gap, okay? And this one, it can be achieved by utilizing an advanced approach such as confirmatory factor analysis. And the next paragraph, look at this one. Confirmatory factor analysis, see, it's like connected, you know, sentence by sentence and then paragraph by paragraph, okay? And then after that one, what? Then the purpose of the study. That's all. How many paragraphs? I think 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. See, only 7. You don't need to make, you know, readers, impress the readers by like 20 paragraphs. Then just like the most of the undergraduate thesis, I'm like, what for? you impress me with 20 paragraph. It doesn't make sense for me, okay? And then another one is actually that I would like to mention to you that this one, for example, this one. The final CFA of household, blah, 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 is presented. Okay, so everything, if you want to present the you know, the figure, you should use the present tense, okay? The same with the table, okay? Blah, 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 is presented, okay? But if you would like to mention about the findings of the insight of the figure or the findings of the table, okay, you have to use the past tense. For example, you know, you have to use this one. But based on this table, GFI and GFF values were, okay, which were, okay, so so everything should be the past tense, you know, when you would like to mention about the findings of the table, not use the present tense, okay? And then the last but not the least, I would like to mention about the limitations, okay? So the limitations of the paper should not be before the methodology or at the end of the, you know, scope and limitation, you know, that's not, it doesn't make sense for me. Should be here. Here, would like to acknowledge several limitations while generalizing the current study's findings. So before you end that one, you have to mention the limitations of the study, then be humble with your study, okay? So I would say here something like the future research to incorporate blah, 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 you know, so, you know, so basically that that's the way we write the paper in the ergonomics. This belongs to the macroergonomics because this is related with the human and the organization. So it's very macroergonomics type, you know, of the study. And usually macroergonomics of type of study, it's related with the either SEM or accident analysis. Usually, you know, accident analysis, you know, on the 5th week or the 6th week, I will, you know, share all of you the topic with where when you have to read about so many accidents like the head split, you know, hand split, you know, like so many, you know, like so many accidents with but not with picture. I cannot, I mean, I will not read the, I'm not brave enough to you know, to show the picture, but reading the explanation is already very painful, you know, okay? Everyone can download. What do you mean? Everyone can download? Yes, of course. Open access can, you know, can be downloaded by everyone because you pay it and it actually, it belongs to you, not belongs to Elsevier or belongs to the publisher. Okay, so basically that if you do the open access, is basically that it belongs to you. You can share it with anyone. You can share it to ResearchGate and so on. But don't share your, you know, I got the issue with my ResearchGate, you know, because when the paper got published, you know, you got the 90 days for free, I think, or less than 90, 60 days, I think, for free. But I forget to remove that one. So I got an issue, you know. Elsevier almost sue me because of the, you know, I upload the full version of that one, but we take care of that. I was like, oh, sorry, you know, I forget, blah, blah, blah. So I, you know, remove the paper, the full paper, you know, with the final format in my ResearchGate. So I just upload the one that is not the final format in the ResearchGate. Okay, so basically that is the problem. That is the thing that you really need to take care when you publish in a free journal. Okay. Okay. So any more questions about the writing, about the human factors and ergonomics? Anything you want to ask? Oh, anyway, one thing that, okay, don't copy paste, don't do the plagiarism, okay, because I will detect it. I will be able to detect that. Okay, so the good thing, the good way to to avoid from plagiarism is you explain the sentence using your own words. Then you will not have that kind of problem. Okay, explain the paper or explain the finding using your own words, your own sentence, then cite the paper. Then you will not have that kind of problem or the similarity problem. Okay, but when you just copy paste, although you already cite the paper, you still have the high similarity. Okay, so it will be still a problem when you submit to the journal. Okay, so the good thing is actually just how we say that, paraphrase using your own words. Describe that using your own knowledge. Okay, and I would like you to also this one. This is the JCR, like Journal Citations Report. Okay, for example, I would like to mention with the disaster risk reduction. Okay, so oh sorry, oh this is the proxy from the NTUST. Sorry guys. So this is the JCR because Mapua has no access of this one. So I use my old, PhD, but still usable. Hopefully they will not block me. If they block me, then I, you know. Okay. Oh, there is Dr. Yang here. Keep it secret. So keep it secret. Okay. So for example, this one, disaster risk reduction. See my journal, right? In this one, right? So if the paper is listed in here, then it is an SCI journal. Okay. For example, let's say Dr. Young's, computers and what operation research, right? Hey. So if the paper is actually operation research, operation with computers and operation research. Where is it? I think there should be. Now this one, computers and operation research. Okay. So as long as the journal is listed in here is SCI. Okay. Okay. Oh wow. Let's see Dr. Young's paper. See. Wow, the impact factor is so high, 3 point something, 3.424. And then you can check in here actually the ranking. This is the ranking, okay? This is the ranking of the journal, okay? So this is actually Q2 of the SCI, but although this is Q2, but still very high. This is still the SCI. This is so high. It used to be Q1, but now it's actually Q2. The same with my paper disasters reduction, okay? I think it's also Q2. Let's check. See, it's Q2. This is the Q2 right now. Okay. Okay. So all the journals that listed in here is actually SCI. If you want to check a faculty, like, oh, this faculty published a journal, I'm like, okay, check it. If it's listed in here, then it's SCI. If not listed in here, it's not SCI. Okay. So basically, that's the thing that you need to do. And you can also utilize the Springer, Wiley, Taylor and Francis, but if you use these three, then you have to use Sci-Hub to download the paper, okay? Because the school has no access, okay? But if you can also use the MDPI. I think MDPI, some papers are, I would say, not that high quality, but still there are many high quality papers in the MDPI, okay, journals. Okay, so before we take a break, any questions? Any questions? Maricar, you there? Any questions from you? Since most of you are the faculties. Any questions?
No questions at all, sir.
Talaga? So no question, everything is clear?
Yes, po.
You sure? Okay. Okay, so
I'm just wondering about your sir requirements for the course. Do
okay,
we
I will
need to
explain.
actually...
Yeah, I will explain after
Yeah.
after we take a break because hey, this is
Okay.
ergo. This is ergo class, and we sit for 2 hours without the stretching and so on. It's not good for the, for ergonomics. Okay, so basically that I would like. Why don't we take a how many minutes break? 15 minutes break. Is that okay? Then I will explain about the requirement of my class for this one. What about that? What about that? Yoshiki, is that okay?
Yes, sir.
Everyone?
Yes, sir. That's okay, sir.
Okay, because this is the ergo class, I don't want everyone to feel like musculoskeletal disorder in my class. Then like you can be your own, the object itself of the online education, and then you do something like correlation with CMDQ with the Rula Riva, and you are the subject itself, So basically that uh, you know uh, we don't want to face the musculoskeletal disorders. Okay, so let's take a break for the 15 minutes, and we go back at the 4:05 Manila time or 3:05 Bangkok time. Okay, that's okay, right? Bangkok and my house is actually the same time. Okay, so let's take break for 15 minutes before we go back to the class. Okay, everyone, stretching, and you can eat, you can go to the restroom and so on. Okay, so see you in 15 minutes. Bye bye.